Saudi Arabia. Our topic is about ethical CSR and sustainability cross-control. In my part, I will introduce the background of the case and explain the main problem IKEA faced. IKEA is a Saudi furniture company. It is famous for simple design, model produce, and clear advantage style. IKEA also comes from Sweden, where gender equality is an important value. Because of this, IKEA's brand image is connected not only with furniture but also with equality and inclusion. However, when IKEA entered the Saudi Arabia market, it faced difficult control. Saudi is able to more conservative, especially in relation to how women are shown in public. To avoid problem with local consumer and government rules, IKEA removed image of the women from advertisements in Saudi marketing. At first, this may look like normal business decision. IKEA want to respect the local control and avoid conflict in the Saudi market. For many international companies, change advertisements for the local marketing in account. However, this decision caused a strong negative relation in Western. Many people believe IKEA has given up its support to gender equality. This through IKEA was protecting its business in Saudi marketing, but not protecting its own values. So the main problem is this: should IKEA follow local control expectation, or should it keep global values about gender equality? This is not only an advantage problem, it's a cost control management problem. IKEA had to decide between two difficult expectations. On the one side, it needs to respect Saudi control and local rules. On the other side, complex to remove women from advertisements could be say unfair and against gender equality. Our group main idea is IKEA should be not completely remove the women from advertising. Instead, IKEA should be advertising that is respect for the local control and but still includes women in a suitable way. This means IKEA can respect local control while also keep its own values, such as equality and inclusion. Based on this background, the next part will discuss difficult stakeholders such as Saudi local market, the state home market, women's-led group, and global consumer. This will show how difficult expectation quality pressure for IKEA. My point is finished. Thank you.
No clap. Okay, thank you for Soda's introduction. And next we will analyze the IKEA dilemma from the position of cross-cultural managers. So as a Soda, just the introduction, IKEA was standing between two markets within the different expectation. One side, Saudi, has a distinct cultural relation and legal background. And in addition, IKEA mainly operates in Saudi through the franchising model. So it means the headquarters could not directly control every local decision. So IKEA had considered how to reduce the friction with the local norm and maintain the local acceptance and business sustainability. So that's also explained why the woman would be removed from the Saudi catalog. IKEA was also the Sweden global brand. Its home country identity, the global reputation, have long been connected with the gender equity and family values. So when women were reviewed from the catalog, the decision was no longer just a local advertising and adjustment. It quickly became a global reputational risk and ethical controversy. So as the cross-cultural managers, we should dive into the deep sea, and we should understand what different pressure facing to the companies and identify the bottom line and to analyze the cost of each choice. So next, I will to use the triple bottom line to analyze how the dilemma action affected the IKEA's profit, people, and long-term sustainability in the same time. First, let us consider the profit dimension. The Saudi market represents local profit. So IKEA entered the local market as early as actually 1983 and had already built a long-term foundation for the local operation. From this official data, we can clearly find the IKEA understood the Saudi furniture market should be not underestimated. The cake was really, really big. So the IKEA, it's hard to say give it up. So therefore, IKEA removed the female images in order to protect the local profit, even though this would be immediately bring the criticism and to the company. So for the global brand like IKEA, reputation is not just abstract moral issues. It can turn into the business risk like that. So for the example, IKEA's catalog had a huge influence as this data shows here. That means that once Saudi versions was compiled by global media, it would influence the judgment of customer around the world. Therefore, the profit dimension, IKEA could not simply just say sacrifice the ethic for the profit. Instead, it had to carefully prioritize the provide reputation and consumer trust across a different market. Then let us look at about human dimension. It's about culture and humans' right. On the surface, IKEA made female images disappear, seems to be respected the Saudi local culture and seems to increase the comfort in the local market. But the real questions are whose comfort it is, and who can have a right to represent the culture, who can be seen and who should be ignored. So there are ethical questions within the people dimension. Should people be treated equally? Saudi society itself does not just have only one voice, such as the stronger shows in from this data. So both of the men and women in Saudi support women's rights in public space. So when we see the people's aspect of the triple bottom line requires companies to do more than avoid the conflict. It requires them to consider humans' dignity, right, equality, and social participation. So IKEA owns values also emphasize lead by example, caring for people and the planet. That is remove the female images appeared to maintain the local maintain stability and respect the local culture. But in the reality, it's strengthened to support the idea women should not appear in the public place. IKEA did consider people, but it's prioritize some people while sacrificing other people. So that was a core reasons why the global consumers and feminist groups protested. Finally, let's look at the IKEA's action. Does everybody think about this action? Was it a mistake?
Well, I'll explain it later.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, I don't think so. Let us just look at another case, Starbucks. Starbucks once suggested its female Syrian's logo in Saudi. She was beheaded. And it was also involved in the controversy over women being banned from entering the stores. It should be closed, right? But however, later developments showed that Starbucks did not withdraw from the Saudi market. Instead, it continued to move forward and expand. IKEA was the same. So there's no public evidence showing that the performance was damaged because of this incident. So IKEA continued to publish this catalog in Saudi and celebrate its 30th birthday of the operate in the country and open new stores, achieve the rapid business growth. We all know IKEA is not a small company without cross-cultural analysis or experience. So the similar multinational brands had already faced this kind of problem before. So would IKEA really not have analyzed it? I don't think so too. So we have a reason to suspect the local adaptation by large multinational companies is often not just accidental action, but is calculated business risk with entering a conservative institutional environment. So after the weighing short-term and interest and against the long-term reputation, IKEA chose to first remove the female images and to meet some local demands and reduce the fraction. After the incident grows, so it then to use apologize and value-based statement to repair its value legitimacy in the global market. It seems like very smart strategy of the arrangement, right? So first to protect the market and then to satisfy public opinion. It was beneficial for organization's short-term development and also trade-off under the franchising system. But in IKEA short-term strategy, how to say that? That's the underestimated the long-term change in the global ethical trends. So we can see, for example, when the accident happened in 2012, women in Saudi still could not drive. But by 2018, Saudi Arabia has lifted the ban of women driving, and no country in the world officially banned women from driving anymore. What that means? This change shows the gender equality. It's not just a short-term pressure from the Western public opinion, but advancing global ethical trend. So the ethical standards faced by companies are not just static. A choice that picked today as a cultural adaptation may be re-evaluated in the future by the global trend toward equality. So this is the real, sorry, I forgot to do it. This is the real dilemma of the ethical sustainability. So this is my analysis, and then my group member will further analyze and give us more recommendation. Thank you for listening.
Sebastian. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Okay, so building on the previous section, we clearly saw that IKEA was facing sort of a little conflict between what the stakeholders wanted and what its personal commitments are. So obviously the stakeholders, the local sort of a government, or we can literally say Saudi, it wanted a cultural sensitivity. On the other hand, the Swedish people and the global audience, they wanted IKEA to uphold its commitment to gender equality and inclusivity, right? So at this particular moment, if you look at this as a problem or a conflict, it is not just a marketing problem or a marketing decision just for advertising purpose, but it also kind of makes it an ethical decision-making problem, I would say, right? So in this particular section, I'll be discussing IKEA's decision using three ethical theories: utilitarianism, quite a word it is, deontology and virtue ethics. These theories are useful because they help us not only judge what IKEA did, but whether the decision was ethically justified or not. Starting from the first one, the utilitarian, I've got no idea how to pronounce that word, I'm trying my best here. The utilitarianism focuses on the consequences. It kind of focuses on the bigger picture, the overall greater good, what was the outcome of the decision that we made, right? So if you look at the short-term scenario, as my mate here explained before, in the short term it was quite good, that they did not have to face any problems with the local government, and the local audience was able to accept it, because they basically did not include a particular gender from the advertisement. But looking at this particular decision from the lens of utility, I think it is also about looking at the negative consequences. And the negative consequences were that the Swedish people or the global audience, they were not quite happy about it. It kind of damaged IKEA's global image as well. It kind of damaged its image as sort of encouraging discrimination, or maybe not staying to their core values of inclusivity. So I say damage was greater than what the short-term gain was. So this particular lens, it kind of tells us that even from like this particular view, the benefits may have been a little short-term, while the broader ethical and reputational costs were much greater. Jumping on to the next one, deontology. Deontology is a pretty straightforward thing. It focuses on duties, principles, and rights rather than outcomes. It doesn't give a damn whether you made a profit from that advertisement, whether you did not make a profit, whether you made a loss. It is clear. Did you stick to your duties? Did you stick to your responsibilities? And clearly in this case, IKEA, I guess, did not, because it literally treated gender as something they can basically neglect just to fit in a local culture. So yeah, that's very straightforward. Looking at the virtue ethics, it focuses on a moral character. It asks whether the decision reflected qualities such as integrity, courage, and consistency. Now, it definitely did not show consistency with this particular decision, because IKEA is globally known for inclusivity and equality, discouraging discrimination and all that sort of things. And on the other hand, you make an ironic decision of neglecting women for advertising. It definitely did not stay consistent with its own commitments. So looking from virtue ethics perspective as well, the concern is not only what IKEA achieved, but this particular decision sort of says what IKEA wants to be as well, right? Going on to the next one, it simply tells about short-term logic, ethical limitations, and the main judgment. I won't go very deep into that one, but if you look at the overall judgment, even the utility lens, it tells us there were like few goods, but obviously there were more negative sort of aspects to this particular decision. Deontology and virtue ethics, it clearly says, I cannot basically say decision was wrong, but it was ethically wrong. That's what those lessons says. So overall evaluation is that cultural sensitivity is important. I mean, obviously, I don't want to get into such a big market as Saudi or some other similar country and go completely against their culture. I'll be bankrupt in like a couple of days. I won't be able to succeed there, right? So if you look at it on a surface level, it may appear that the challenge is to choose between cultural sensitivity and sticking to the global expectations or your own ethical values. But that is not actual scenario. The real challenge, I think, is finding a way to respect local culture while still protecting the core values and principles. Now, that is actually a kind of little broad debate, which we'll further discuss. I'll hand it over to you. Go for it, bro. Make it louder, bro. Come on. Gotta do it on our own.
So in this section, I will critically analyze the IKEA Saudi Arabia case by comparing two important ethical perspectives, cultural relativism and universal ethical values. The key questions in this case is where a multinational company should adapt to the cultural expectations of the country where it operates, or whether it should always uphold its global ethical values. In IKEA case, the company removes images of women from its Saudi Arabian catalog to align with local cultural expectations. While this decision respected local customs, it also raised concerns about gender equality and human rights. This created an ethical that many multinational companies face operating across different cultures. Comparing both perspectives, let's look at the cultural elitism. Cultural elitism suggests that there is no single universal standards of ethics. Instead, business should respect and adapt to the customs, beliefs, that social norms of the country which they operate. From this perspective, IKEA decision could be seen as an effort to respect Saudi Arabia's cultural expectations and main positive relationship with local customs and regulations. Adapting to local cultures may also help businesses gain experience in international markets. On the other hand, universal ethical values argue that certain principles such as equality, dignity, and respect for human rights should apply regardless of cultural differences. From this point, removing women from the catalog contradicts IKEA global values of diversity and inclusion. It also internationally become people believe that the company had compromised its ethical standards. This shows that both perspectives have valid arguments. Cultural adaptation is important for business success, but organizations also have the responsibility to protect fundamental human rights. Critical analysis. When we critically evaluate this case, it becomes clear that neither perspective alone provides the perfect solutions. Cultural relativism allows businesses to respect local traditions and build stronger relationship with local communities. This can improve trust and make it easier for companies to operate internationally. However, relying too heavily on cultural elitism can also create problems. It may lead companies to justify practices that conflict with international acceptance, either principles such as gender equality or non-discrimination. In this IKEA case, removing women from the catalog may have respected local culture's expectations, but it damaged the company's global reputations and created questions about its commitments to equality. I believe the better approach is to find a balance. Companies should respect cultural differences where possible, but they should not compromise fundamental human rights or their own ethical values. Instead of completely removing women from the catalog, IKEA could have explored alternatives that respected local cultures while standing women appropriately. This would have been consistent with the company's global values. On the conclusion, to summarize, the IKEA Saudi Arabia case demonstrates the challenges multinational companies face when balancing local cultural expectations with universal ethical values. Cultural elitism encourages respect from different cultures, while universal ethical values remind businesses to uphold principles such as equality, dignity, and human rights. In my opinion, successful global companies should adapt to local cultures without compromising the core ethical. Finding the balance is essential for maintaining both local acceptance and global creativity. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this case teaches us that global companies often face difficult decisions when they enter the new international market. They need to respect local culture, but they also need to protect their global values. In IKEA case, the company removed women from its Saudi Arabia catalogs to fit the local cultural expectations. Although this decision satisfied the local market, it created serious criticisms in the Sweden and many other countries because it went against IKEA commitments to gender equality. So, what should IKEA have done instead? The first one is the adopt, don't erase. Instead of removing the women completely from the advertisements, IKEA could have shown the women wearing the cultural appropriate clothes such as the abaya and the headscarf. This would have respected Saudi culture while still recognizing women as the part of the society. In fact, IKEA once store in the Saudi Arabia already displayed the women wearing the local clothing. This shows that there were another option available. The company did not need to completely remove the women from its advertising. By choosing this balanced approach, IKEA should have respected local customs while remaining consistent with its global value. Number two was to conduct the deeper research before entering the new market. Before expanding into another country, a multinational company should study not only the local culture but also with the possible ethical issue they may face. If IKEA had completed better culture and the ethical research before publishing the catalog, the company might have planned a different marketing strategy. Instead of making last-minute changes by removing the women from the picture, IKEA could have prepared advertisements that respected the local traditions from the beginning while still protecting its cooperative values. Better planning helps the companies avoid the unexpected problems and protects their global reputations. And the number 3 is the consult the stakeholder. Large international companies will not make the important decisions alone. They should consult different stakeholders, including the local communities, employees, human rights organizations, and the gender equality groups. If IKEA had spoke with these groups before publishing the Saudi catalogs, the company would probably have recognized the ethical concerns much easier. This could have prevented the international criticisms that followed. Listening to different stakeholders also helps the companies make more balanced and responsible decisions. Now I will discuss the likely consequences of these recommendations. Every recommendation has the both advantage and the disadvantage. There is no perfect solution. Global managers always need to balance the business success with the ethical responsibility. The first one is culturally adapted advertisements without removing women. The positive things is that IKEA will protect its global reputations and demonstrate its commitment to gender equality. Customers in Sweden and many other countries will trust the company more. The disadvantage was Saudi regulators or customers might not fully adopt this advertisement. IKEA might also need to spend more money creating a different advertisement for the different countries. Non-negotiable ethical policy creates the consistency across the all international market. Employee, investor, and the customers know exactly what the company stands for, strengths long-term trust. In some countries where the local law strongly conflict with these values, IKEA may not be able to continue operating. Strong global governments and the approval processes. The positive fact is that reduce the risks of the similarity mistakes in the futures and they create the great accountability. But the disadvantage was may slow down the decision making. More approval steps require the additional time and resources. Stakeholder consultations before the launching the campaign. The positive things was the IKEA can better understand concerns from the different groups and avoid the conflicts before they become public. The risk was consultations takes the time and may increase the cost. However, these costs are usually more lower than the cost of repairing the damaged reputation. The key lesson from this that every decision involves a trade-off. Sometimes the maintaining strong ethical values may means the giving up certain business opportunities. Global managers need to recognize this trade-off honesty instead of pretending there is any easy solution. Finally, I would like to discuss the broad discussion lessons from this case. One important idea from the Donaldsons of the Western Schools of Business. He argued that companies should respect cultural difference, but there must be able to be limited. When a cultural practice conflict with fundamental human rights or universal ethical principles, companies need to think carefully before changing their values. Interestingly, IKEA later admitted that removing the women from the Saudi catalogs was inconsistent with the company's own values. This shows that even IKEA recognized the decision was a mistake. Today, IKEA continuously promotes the gender equality. More than the half of its employees are women. Almost half of the management positions are held by women. And the company has set a goal of achieving the equal gender representations globally by 2030. These advertisements demonstrate that the standing by the ethical values is not only the right things to do, but can also supporting the long-term business's success. So, in conclude, the IKEA Saudi Arabia case shows that the successfully globally management is not simply about the adapting to a local culture. It also about the finding the right balance between respecting cultural differences and protecting the universal ethical values. Companies that plan carefully, consult stakeholders, and they remain consistent with their core values are more likely to build the trust, maintain a strong reputations, and achieve the sustainable success in the international markets. Thank you for listening.
Any questions?
If there are any questions, meet me outside.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, because her part is talk about something. As far as I know, after IKEA apologized, and they didn't immediately restore the female image. So if you were the cross-culture manager there, will you immediately restore it?
Yeah, it's a very awkward question. Yes, as I know, the IKEA still keep to remove the female image on this catalog. And if I am the manager, I will analyze this. Analyze these questions in at least two parts. At first, we consider about the risk. So, can I? Did I fully to consider the risk before I do some decision, and the risk, the result of the risk can I accept? That's the first step, because we always say the button shift ahead. What position make what decision? So if I am the manager of IKEA, so if I just made a decision such as strongly support, we use the female image in Saudi, I will face the result about either get out in 1 year. So this result I can accept, and this is not the goal I want to achieve. This is the first step. And the second step, I think we should think about things longer and more longer. Like we say, if we want to enter our market, we should occupy the market first. If we want to do some things to influence the region, if we want to do some things to take responsibility for the society, we should have the influence power first. So if I didn't occupy the market here, how can I face to the world change when one day I had a power to change everything? That's my answer. So if I am the manager, the first step I maybe like IKEA used to do, I just enter the market first and occupy the market first, and I also show my value as well. And the second part, I will make some social judgment in the world, like you guys analyze us. Yeah, to judge about these questions, to let people focus on us and to talk about the problem, the questions, and maybe one day we can say we follow the trends of the ethical. That sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, if I were the cross-cultural management, I'm finding a new company. That's just too. That's just too much. Any other? Sure. That. Yep, please.
Whose comfort matters here most? IKEA stakeholders or the Saudi one?
Well, honestly, that's a question sort of a thing where I'm looking at sort of a business perspective, and that's a whole discussion again, right? It's not about anyone's comfort. If I were a businessman, if I were an owner, I wouldn't really care if I'm making profits, to hell with the ethics. Honestly, that is just me. To hell with the ethics. I don't really care about ethics. If I'm making money, I'm good. It's not really about anyone's comfort. But if you're just looking at it from a perspective of a human being, I think excluding one particular gender, not only women, thinking that you can exclude a gender from your advertising, you can neglect it, and it is just for the convenience of locals, I think it is unethical, it is not acceptable. But again, it is not about anyone's comfort. There's not a right or wrong answer for stakeholders. If I'm the stakeholder who's making money, to hell with the ethics. If I'm a human being, I would say that's wrong. You should treat every gender equally. Any other?
That's all.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.